it was a cluster of guys. It wasn't just one person or maybe two people holding the sport up. There was a number of guys. That's why those tournaments back in the day were so competitive. Yeah, we heard a lot about Jack Nicklaus, but there were so many others that are playing at a high level as well. That's what golf needs to get back to in 2019. I understand what you're saying. You're talking about name recognition outside of the general fan base. That's what Tiger Woods again, who looks like Tiger on the course that has been able to play at that level. Him being unique is number one on that list. But number two, just someone that captures the general public. We haven't seen that yet. But
where's the 2019 version of Chichi Rodriguez? Who's going to take their putter out and do a duel after he makes a big putt?
What's that?
You remember Chichi Rodriguez?
Oh yes, I remember him. Yes,
he used to take his putter and he used to like stab you with his putter and like swing it around after you make a big putt.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Besides Chichi Rodriguez, you know what never goes out of style?
What's that?
Surprising a friend or loved one with buy one, get one free multicolored rose bouquets for $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. We preview Game 3 of the Bucks and Raptors series. That's coming up next. It's Dickerson and Hood. This is ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Chi-Chi.
Curry goes the other way, in from the right to the rim, laid it in. Steph Curry with 34 in Game 3.
There's so many people that was talking, he can't do this, he can't do that. Like, he's locked in, and it's taking our team to a different level.
This is Dickerson and Hood.
As a Jet fan, I would be super pumped about where our team is right now.
He's the Jets franchise quarterback.
That's a Jet touchdown. Another connection. Darnold to Robbie Anderson.
We'd like to make what we think is a really big
Anderson. Back and gone to the back wall of the Phillies bullpen. Phillies take the lead. Bryce Harper has homered for the second day in a row. It's his ninth, and it's 7-5 Phillies.
Again, no doubt about it.
94 WIP, and that's your game-winning blow in a 7-5 final as they sweep that series. Brewers take the Braves 3-2. Ben Gamel's 10th inning shot was your game-winning blow there. 19th of the season, though, for Christian Yelich. And the Astros at Fenway Park riding that 10-game winning streak. 9th inning, Boston up 4-3. Xander Bogaerts, the run-scoring double to put them up top. Yankees take the Rays 13-5.
I'll report back from crashing the Levitard Show's big Saturday night soiree in New York City. That and more Monday. It's the Will Kane Show, weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPN News.
Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNradio.com.
It's Sundays with Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. You also get our show on Sirius XM Channel 80. We are brought to you by Pennzoil, the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas. The proof is in the Pennzoil. 1 hour from now, our coverage begins right here on ESPN Radio for Game 3 of the Bucks and Raptors, the Eastern Conference Finals, Jonathan. Bucks up 2-0. Raptors had a chance to win Game 1. They blew it. It was all Bucks in Game 2. So basically tonight, it's now or never for Toronto.
No question about it, and I really feel much better about this Raptors team than a Raptors team in the past because it was the DeRozan-Lowry show for such a long time, and they underachieved greatly. And I just didn't understand how come they couldn't break through the glass ceiling. But when you see this Raptors team with Kawhi Leonard, he makes such a big difference as a top 10 player in this league. I enjoy watching him play because he's understated, but his play is not understated. And I know that if the Raptors underachieve, if they lose tonight, that it falls on his head even more so than Nick Nurse, more so than anybody in the coaching staff, more so than Kyle Lowry, who's been there forever. And I don't think that that's right. I just think that the Raptors are in a position here to make this a more interesting series, despite how terrific the Bucks have been. Again, they've been in the 0-2 hole before. They've been in there for now the 6th time. But I think things can turn around here for this Raptors team if they continue to play the way they played in the regular season and threes playoffs. And that is not necessarily just relying on the three, not relying just on Kawhi Leonard, but others passing that ball and also, having some defense on the other side too against a really athletic Bucks team.
Yeah, supporting cast is going to be the key tonight for the Raptors. Here's who Jalen Rose says is the key tonight for Toronto.
He averaging 11 points, shooting 34% from the floor. He ain't missing all of his open jump shots, in particular his open threes from the corner. So now Kawhi, when he's penetrating big shot, he don't have confidence in those guys. That guy got to continue to be more effective and efficient, but playing faster always helps him.
I mean, they have a good supporting cast. It's just, and Kawhi is working so hard for his points. He's scoring, and he's doing the job. But others have to help him, and the Bucks are talented. See, we think the Bucks, Jonathan, are a pretty deep team, and we really enjoy their bench. They've got great contributions from the bench. Other guys like Middleton and Brogdon are doing great work in their starting lineup. But Scottie Pippen says the Bucks are the rare one superstar championship caliber team.
I think this is the first in a long time. Even looking back in the Bulls, our runs in the 90s, It was myself, Michael, Horace Grant, myself, Michael, Dennis Rodman. You went with LeBron with this, Bosh and Wade. So, but to see what Giannis is doing, and I'm not going to count Chris Middleton out as not being an all-star in this game, but a one-time all-star. But to see him be able to do this without those superstars alongside of him is pretty amazing. And I think the way that they play, the way that their offense execute, they will get either one of these teams a good run.
No, hold on a second. Michael. It was Michael, and then it was Michael. There was Michael. Yeah, Scotty was on the team.
myself. Where was the Tony Kukoc reference, though? I think Kukoc played a big role, the waiter, in the second three-peat.
So was the trainer John Ligmanowski. He also was part of that team as well.
Ron Harper was there.
Should have mentioned Liggs. Why did you mention the trainer? He had something to do with the championship as well for the Bulls back in that time. So I like how Pippen throws his name in there. And yeah, he's a top 50 player, there's no doubt. I just think it's funny that in analysis he has to mention himself along with Michael winning those championships. He was there. But so was broadcaster Tom Dorr. He also was part of those championships as well. So, so you didn't mention him either. But I think that the last time that we saw something like this, Jeff, I'm thinking it was the Dallas Mavericks winning their championship with Dirk. No diss to the other players around Dirk during that time, but Dirk was so good and playing at such a high level, shooting the ball and carrying that Dallas team to beat that first big three of the Miami Heat. This is what this kind of reminds me of. And this is not saying that the other players aren't good, but here's what you need. In a playoff spot, if you do not have 2 or 3 stars, and you know how this league is built now, there's stars that want to be able to play with stars to increase their chances of winning a championship. Well, with Giannis Antetokounmpo as the man, as the guy that is a growing superstar in this league, the others that are around him, they're not bad players. They're very good role players and very good at their role. And I think that reminds me of the Dallas Mavericks when they won their championship, where it was Dirk and the other players played their role to win a championship for Dallas.
Stickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio on the ESPN app. The Bucks are showing you that you can likely reach the finals with one superstar. Not saying you can win a championship right now with one superstar, because my guess is, Jonathan, if they go to the finals and face the Warriors, Golden State's going to win. But to even get to the finals with just a one superstar caliber team, I think is pretty impressive. But they're not going to win. You and I both know that.
No, they won't. But I think that if nothing else, this shows us that the East was not as bad as we thought, right? I remember having these arguments with Russillo, where Russillo would say, you're still going with that narrative about the East? Like, yeah, you know what? The East was a growing, slowly Eastern Conference. That you had some stars there, but they haven't been able to get to a certain level. Well, here's what we saw in the league. We saw the Eastern Conference from Philadelphia to Boston, even though they underachieved, to Toronto, Milwaukee. We saw some teams in the East to really provide some entertaining basketball, I thought. Many thought it was just going to be Boston and everybody else. I think the East has been able to be on the same par or sometimes better than the West as far as regular season play. We know where the strength lies. We know that Golden State is head and shoulders above everyone else, but the East was not the least, as many thought.
Well, it actually was a compelling Eastern Conference, even though the Celtics stunk. How about that? The Celtics weren't good this year. I mean, for what expectations were for Boston and how that roster is made up, this was a horrible year for the Celtics. But they were the ones that, it's going to be the Celtics year now. Everyone's coming back. Kyrie and Hayward and that crew. And they were a colossal disappointment. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the East was great. The Bucks were a great story. Obviously the Raptors with Kawhi has been a huge story this year. I enjoyed the Sixers and all their drama with Mayor Quimby in charge of that operation. I stole that from you, by the way. That's the best. When you call Brett Brown Mayor Quimby, I just love that.
Yeah, Mayor Quimby there as the head coach. He's going to hold on. Looks like the mayor's going to hold on to his title as head coach for the Sixers for a while here. People thought that he's going to be let go, but he wasn't the reason why the Sixers underachieved. That's a team like them, like the Celtics, need a little bit more seasoning. And so that's, I think it's been an interesting season. And remember what this whole thing is about. The NBA is so different from the NFL and other sports, where the NBA is about dynasties, right? It's about who's going to have the dynasty now. Is it Chicago here? Is it LA? Is it Boston? Is it going to be Golden State? Is it Houston? Who's going to have the dynasty? Well, the most intriguing thing to me, Jeff, as an NBA fan, is to find out, what's next, to enjoy what's in front of us, to enjoy the championships, but then trying to figure out, okay, well, then who's going to be strong enough to beat that championship team? Will they beat themselves, as I told you, or will someone else in the East be able to emerge? That's a storyline I'm willing to watch and enjoy. And because to me, what you're watching here is something great, and I'm not sure if we're going to see anything quite like the Warriors again anytime soon.
Well, speaking of looking ahead, coming up next, does a Warriors championship make Kevin Durant more or less likely to stay in the Bay Area? This or that is next. It's Dickerson and Hood. It's ESPN Radio.
This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app.
Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN.
Download the ESPN app today
And take ESPN everywhere.
98.7 ESPN. Over the air. And everywhere. From your car to your phone to your smart speaker.
Hey Alexa, play ESPN New York 98.7.
98.7 ESPN. Over the air and everywhere.
It's golf season, and Yingling is giving you the chance to win the ultimate stay and play at the New Jersey Beer and Food Festival weekend and golf getaway for two. Winners will team up with one of us, either Humpty or Canty, at Crystal Springs Resort for a round of golf, followed by Yingling sampling and dinner to crown the champ.
And let's face it, Chris, if you're on my team, you're more than likely to be crowned the champ. Enter to win at participating locations throughout northern New Jersey, wherever Yingling is sold. It's all brought to you by Crystal Springs Resort, New York City's closest golf resort in Yingling, America's oldest brewery. Enjoy responsibly.
Hey everybody, it's Michael K. With summer coming, what better time to renovate than with some new appliances from PC Richard & Son? They're slashing prices on appliances right now. LG, Samsung, Frigidaire, GE, and so much more. Special financing up to 36 months on select appliances and appliance packages with your PC Richard & Son credit card. And they'll deliver your new appliances the very next day. Remember, PC Richard & Son is family-owned, and they treat you like family. I go to the Yonkers store, and I see my guy Robert Fiska. He's the best. Go see your guy at PC Richard & Son today. Minimum monthly payments required, subject to credit approval. See stores for details.
Hello, would you like me to find workout classes near you?
There are no stores that sell glasses within 10 miles of your location.
There's enough artificial in the world. That's why Michelob Ultra is brewed with no artificial colors or flavors. With just 95 calories and 2.6 carbs. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. 2019 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0.0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
The story of 19 Crimes Wine. History says approximately 162,000 men and women were transported from the United Kingdom to an island across the world for committing one of 19 crimes. They were the convicts turned colonists to a farm-and-build Australia. 19 Crimes Wine is a tribute to these rogues. Hear their stories come to life on every bottle. Simply download the Living Wine Labels app and point your phone towards our labels. 19 Crimes Wine. Live infamously. Imported and bottled by TWE Imports, Napa, California. Please enjoy responsibly.
Attention! Security Dodge!
This just in. Mayday, mayday. Prices are plummeting. Going on right now. Only at Security Dodge in Amityville. Get out of your lease, even if you have 6 months remaining. Plus, take up to 10 grand off MSRP on all new 2018 Wranglers, 2018 Ram 2500s, and Ram Classic Quad Cabs. Mayday. Prices are plummeting.
Get the absolute best. Zero down leases available. Shop 24/7 at SecurityDodge.com during the Memorial Day sales event featuring the Jeep Celebration event.
RPM Raceway, the tri-state area's #1 indoor karting and entertainment destination. Unleash your need for speed with high-performance electric go-karts. Play the latest arcade games and let the good times roll at RPM Lanes. Explore another dimension with virtual reality and racing simulators. Refuel with RPM's in-house made food and beverages. Bring a family and friends to experience a truly authentic, exhilarating day of endless fun with locations in Long Island, Jersey City, and the newly opened Stanford Entertainment Center. Visit rpmraceway.com to learn more.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and are only barely making minimum payments, know this. You may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $500 million of debt. And they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. 800-379-9477. 800-379-9477. 800-379-9477.
This
or that on Dickerson and Hood.
You were right, and I was wrong.
That is correct.
Okay, then I have even more of a no idea.
So I'm not going to sit here and debate facts.
This
I have no idea what you're talking about.
or that.
What are we talking about?
This or that on Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This or that brought to you by Barbasol. For the past 100 years, generations of men have trusted Barbasol shaving cream to deliver a close, comfortable shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. Dan Z is back on Dickerson and Hood as the executive producer this weekend. His first spin with this or that. Hello, Dan.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here, and I'll be here both days next weekend. This might be a new thing, a regular thing.
Here we go.
Lucky you guys.
We can't quit you, Dan. We miss you.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. Let's get that drop. Oh, am I supposed to start now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how this works. This is new to me.
Well, I think you are in control of this, so let her rip.
All right, well, since this is the self-proclaimed golf show on ESPN Radio, let's start a little golf here. Golf is better with one guy, not named Tiger, dominating like Brooks Koepka has so far this week, or when a bunch of young guys are consistently battling together to win majors.
Oh, I'm a fan of the chase, Jonathan, if you'll pardon my expression. I think I enjoy a crowded leaderboard, and when it's the names of younger ascending players and they're in competition every major, I prefer that more so than Brooks Koepka, running away from the field for most of the PGA Championship. So give me the group effort as opposed to just solo Koepka.
Yeah, let's make sure it's clear now. It's not just the cluster of golfers. It's for you. It's young American golfers, right?
Well, that's not the American golfers, but I mean just guys that are are breaking through. Guys that have had success, but guys that are eager to taste more success. That's have to be America. Top of the leaderboard.
That's usually your go-to when Rush Dickerson comes out.
That's only in tennis. That's my Rush Dickerson only comes out in my life as I lament the state of American men's tennis. I mean, women's tennis, Serena, it's the greatest it's ever been, right? But where is my Pete Sampras of this new generation? Give me my Jim Courier, my Michael Chang. Go ahead, sir.
We need better American golfers at the top of the leaderboard. FIV Network. I would tell you that I like when it's close. More in a number of golfers at the top of the leaderboard, more so than someone just running away. Because, it's good for Koepka because I think we're seeing something historic here. But I think that it's always good, especially Danzy at the last day. You want to see a fight to find out who's going to win, and we're not getting that today.
This or that.
You guys ready for this sweet pun action I'm about to drop on you?
Yeah.
Another sport where I consider Dickerson and Hood to be the leader of the pack, horse racing. I don't know if you guys saw it yesterday, but we had a horse run the Preakness without a jockey. So horse racing, better with jockeys or without?
Ooh. Well, I'll tell you this. Being a jockey is not an easy job to have. Those guys put themselves in harm's way. So I have a lot of respect for the jockeys out there. But I think there's something refreshing about watching a horse running free, Jonathan. Something refreshing about that.
You've been a jockey, and so have I. Have we not? Have we run a race together?
Well, I believe that was we were being pulled on the pull cart.
The harness race.
I did a harness race once.
Yes.
I would not climb onto a horse. We had a little bit of a situation with a friend of ours that was unfortunately thrown from a horse during a promotional event. That did not end well. So I am not going to get on the saddle, man, in any way. But for the harness racing, I'll do that. But that was remember that? That was crazy how fast we were going.
It was crazy. The only problem is my horse thought, why is there 3 jockeys? Why am I carrying
Your
3
horse
jockeys?
looked at you and said, you seriously?
That was the problem. It's like, what's 3 jockeys doing back there? You know what? Why can't we have a race, Fancy? I think it makes a good point.
Yeah.
What if we have a race with just no jockeys? How would that look?
Would it be chaos? Now, we don't want the animals to get hurt. So
No.
but I don't know. I mean, if there's no jockey Would the horses run into each other? Would they run into the guardrail? I'm just saying, I don't have the answer to that, but there is something I like that about just let nature run its course. Don't let the horses run free.
I don't want a guy on top of me, as a horse. I'm just going to just keep on just rolling without him. I know something's missing up there, but I'm running anyway. I think we should be able to get that and try to make it safe. To see if horses can get
Should
it done.
we do a man on the street and go interview the horses in the barns and get their opinion?
I don't need those guys.
This or that.
Speaking of puns, JD with an all-timer. Let nature run its course.
There you go, right?
I had to point that out. All right, let's move to the NBA. The Raptors have a better chance to win Game 3 tonight if Kyle Lowry has a huge game or Pascal Siakam has a huge game.
Pascal Siakam's going to have a huge game because Danzy, I expect for Kawhi Leonard to be able to get his numbers even more so, especially with the home crowd. But you need to be able to have that 1-2 punch, especially in your starting lineup. And I think that if Siakam, and I've said this many times, that Kyle Lowry is on the team, but he's not the second best. He's not the third best. He might be the fourth best Raptor on this roster as far as production and someone you can rely on. So I think Siakam, because of his youth and energy, slashing ability, he's got to have a great game.
I would agree. If it's between the two, as Dan Z laid out, I would go with Siakam. But one of those two has to have a big game tonight. You and I both agree on that. I mean, someone besides Kawhi has to have a big game tonight for this thing to go 2-1 in favor of the Bucks.
Wow. You guys had a lot more to say about horse racing and golf. I'm impressed.
That's the show. I mean, you got to play to our strengths.
Well, unfortunately, we're going back to the NBA again. Kevin Durant is more likely to leave Golden State with them winning the championship or falling short.
More likely? I don't think that if they win the championship, he says, well, they did it mostly without me after I got hurt. I don't need another ring. I'm going to go someplace else. I think if they lose, it would make it a little easier for him to leave, Jonathan, because maybe you got to make some changes if you lose in the finals to either the Bucks or the Raptors. But I think he's going to stay myself. But I'll say if they lose, it probably is easier for him to slip out of town as opposed to if they win.
I don't know why you think he's going to stay. Do you think there's going to be an easy summer for us if he stays?
Well, I do have the 9-hour show blocked off for 4th of July when he makes his decision.
I mean, he's gone, and it's not because of whether or not the Warriors win or not. I just think that, like a lot of young athletes, they want to have their own joint, and I think that for Kevin Durant, I don't know if that means Brooklyn. I don't know if that means the Knicks or someplace else, but I just know if it's me, I'm holding on until the wheels fall off. That's just me. But I know that Kevin Durant's got a whole different mindset. He's his own man. He's got his own opinions, and I don't know why you would want to walk away from a championship team. But as I've coined the phrase many times, the only thing that's going to stop this Warriors team from being able to win more championships is the Raptors themselves if they implode. And so for Kevin Durant, more than likely the Warriors are going to win this championship with or without him, but I don't see Durant coming back next season.
I just can't see running away from success and greatness. What are you going to do? You're going to go to New York and lose? You're going to lose. I mean, you'll win more with him than without him, but I don't see that becoming a championship team. I mean, if the Warriors stay together, given their age, Jonathan, if this team stays together, they could easily win how many more titles? 3, 4? If that, I mean, that's being conservative, right?
A couple.
For sure, if guys stay healthy. So I just don't know why wouldn't you want to just stick that out, ride that out, and see, if you could leave your mark as the greatest, dynasty next to the Celtics in NBA history. But like you said, that's just my opinion, and again, he decides for himself.
Yeah, the reason why he won't do that is because he feels like he's not the reason, and people are driven with ego, Jeff. It's ego. And I know I would stay. I wouldn't care what they say about me as long as I'm winning championships and etching my legacy. But for Durant and other players like Kyrie, they look at it differently.
All right, well, straight ahead, Ryan Hollins, our ESPN NBA analyst, will be in studio to tell us why the Warriors only need Steph Curry. That's next. It's Dickerson and Hood. This is ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Wow. The Golden State Warriors have taken a commanding 3-0 series lead.
We can't let up, man. It's not over yet. One win to the finals, and that's going to propel us to play as hard as we can.
This is Dickerson and Hood.
Your cell phone's connected to your tablet. Your tablet's connected to your laptop. Your laptop's connected to your Wi-Fi. One weak link and thieves are in.
The digital world is so connected these days, it just takes one weak link for criminals to get in. Good thing LifeLock Identity Theft Protection includes the power of Norton Security to watch out for threats in today's connected world.
Your desktop's connected to your smart TV. Your smart TV's connected to your smartwatch.
Threats to your identity, like your info for sale on the dark web. And online threats to your devices, like ransomware. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock with Norton detects a wide range of threats to your identity and devices. And if there's a problem, our agents will work to fix it.
Your smartwatch is connected to your video doorbell. Your video doorbell's connected to your smart lock.
Join now and get 10% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code AWARE for 10% off. LifeLock with Norton. More detection, more protection.
Numbers mean something. 7 is lucky. 13, not so much. When you're approaching 7,500 miles, it means you're close to the next oil change. So head to Advance Auto Parts now through March 27th for the Mobil 1 Oil Bundle and get 5 quarts of Mobil 1 synthetic oil, a Mobil 1 filter, and free Scott heavy-duty shop towels for $32.99. Think ahead. Think Advance at Advance Auto Parts. See store for details.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling and Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
Sam Darnold wants to play football with you. Attend the City Sam Darnold Football Pro Camp. Kids grades 1 through 8 can join the quarterback June 8th at LIU Post. Register at samdarnoldcamp.com. Use your city card to receive a preferred price of 20% off. Sam will be on site and joined by area coaches to provide small group instruction on football fundamentals and fun. It's the City Sam Darnold Football Pro Camp. Visit samdarnold.com today. Premier sponsor, Welch's Fruit Snacks.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details and safety information.
Guys, do you have trouble going the distance? Do you crescendo too soon? Arrive at the party too early? Is your alphabet A, B? Oops. Does your firecracker go off before the 4th? Then you need to go quick as a bunny to 4hims.com because 4hims offers treatments for PE and access to doctors who can evaluate you for prescription options. And right now, get started for just $10. No in-office doctor's visits, no trips to the pharmacy, no high prices. Just the help you want to keep going and going and going and going.
Hurry to 4hims.com and slow down. To get started at this incredible $10 price, go to 4hims.com/bedroom. The only way to get this special offer is to go to 4hims.com/bedroom. FORHIMS.com/BEDROOM.
Attention! Security launch! This just in. Mayday, mayday. Prices are plummeting. Going on right now. Only at Security Dodge in Amityville. Get out of your lease, even if you have 6 months remaining. Plus, take up to $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2018 Wranglers, 2018 Ram 2500s, and Ram Classic Quad Cabs. Mayday. Prices are plummeting.
Get the absolute best. 0 down leases available. Shop 24/7 at SecurityDodge.com. During the Memorial Day sales event featuring the Jeep Celebration event.
The Sloman Shield. Call 1-800-ALARM-ME and get your free Sloman Shield home security system. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm
In basketball, only 8 players now under par at the PGA Championship. Brooks Koepka, one of those, through 12 holes at 11 under. That's 4 strokes up on Dustin Johnson as he looks to become just the 4th player to win 4 majors in 8 starts. NBA Eastern Conference Finals coverage comes your way. Top of the hour, Kevin Winter has the mic for that pregame coverage. Raptors Bucks, they're in Toronto. Milwaukee up 2-0 regarding their title hopes. Tim McMahon on the jump.
Now that they're beating Kawhi and the Raptors, is that finally going to give them the respect that if they do get to those finals, that people think they could give the team that comes out of this series a real fight?
Yeah, I absolutely think they can. I mean, you're talking about the best defensive team in the NBA, maybe the best player in the league right now, and then just a bunch of guys who I think complement Giannis so well and fit their roles perfectly. You don't see one superstar teams really very often as a threat to win a championship, but I think the Bucks are an exception.
Warriors look to wrap the Western Conference Finals tomorrow night, up 3-0 on the Blazers. Andre Iguodala questionable for that game. That calf injury, the MRI came back clean today. NHL Western Conference Finals, Blues in control, up 4 goals in the third. Jaden Schwartz has a pair of those tallies, while the Red Sox this afternoon end the Astros. 10-game winning streak, 4-3 Boston. A winner, Xander Bogaerts, the go-ahead run-scoring double in the 8th inning. Yankees reclaim first place in the American League East, 13-5 over the Rays. Shane Bieber, 15 strikeouts, complete game 5 hitter as the Indians bomb the O's 10-0 New York final.
Giannis and the Bucks win again, taking games 1 and 2 in Milwaukee. Now the series shifts to Toronto. Coverage of Game 3 begins tonight at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Presented by Indeed.
There's one man on the Warriors, out of all those All-Stars, out of all the talent, out of all that system that you cannot replace, and that is Steph Curry. Kevin Durant, you can go. Draymond, peace. Clay, go be a Laker. But you cannot lose Steph Curry. Mark my words. And is the true mark of a superstar, the fact that this man can humble himself, bro.
Ryan Hollins on game night last night. Our guy joining us in studio now on Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. What's up, Ryan? How are you?
What is going on, fellas?
Hollins, could you tell us what was after Bro? Because it seems like you were cut off there. Was there something that you had that you wanted to tell the audience after Bro?
You know, I don't know. I don't remember, man. You know, a lot of stuff comes out of my mouth, man. And I heard your obsession with horse racing has not stopped.
Whichever way the wind blows. I mean, look, I didn't know that was coming, and so. But you know, the thing is, it's like you do agree, horses without jockeys. That's something that you want to see.
That would be anarchy, bro. Unless there's some type of, like, animal call. Like, I don't know that horses chase anything. Like, I don't know if there's, like, a group of carrots they would chase down. Like,
animal call. Is that what you said?
like, there's no way they run uniformed.
Is there animal call? Is that what animal call for the horses?
There's no way.
Though, is that there'd be all this just running into each other and horse running one way, the guy stopping, turning around, running the other way, horse jumping into the stands. I mean, these are things I worry about.
Hey, bro, jockeys all around the world are like joining together in union, like to boycott those words from you. Listen, they're definitely needed. Okay.
So we had Paul Jones on, the veteran voice, one of the veteran voices of the Toronto Raptors, and he feels good about tonight's game. Do you, from the Raptor standpoint?
You know what? I don't feel good, bro. I feel great. You know what? Hey, man, Toronto, they're good at home. They are historically good at home. Even before Kawhi Leonard was there, they just played better at home. And Milwaukee, they did the same. They rode the wave of their home crowd. They gritted out game 1. They blew it out in game 2. And expect Toronto to have an even monstrous performance in front of the home crowd. What happens at home? And you take note. Role players play better. They just historically play better at home. And what does that favor? It's going to strongly favor any home team in this series because it's a very, very how do I put this delicately? It's a very very role player centric series. And when I'm looking at the Raptors, when I'm looking at Milwaukee, why do I say that? These teams are both well coached. They play well within their systems. They work hard. They do the little things. So a home court advantage is going to be really, really good for Toronto.
Why do you think it is that role players play better at home?
You know what? Pressure, man. Pressure is real. And, as a role player, you feed, and I was a role player in the league for 10 years, you feed off the energy of the other guys on the team. So if your job as a role player and you're not a star is to set a good screen, and when you set a good screen, a guy makes a shot, or my job is to come off the screen and hit the shot, well, I need the screen setter to do his job. So I'm reliant on my teammates to have success. So you need everything working essentially like a chain to go along and go well. If one person falls off their job, it affects everybody. Now, a superstar in the league is just going to go get his numbers no matter what. He does. I don't want to say he doesn't need anything, but those guys just kind of don't need much. They go out and they manufacture their points in their offense. Kawhi Leonard, game 2, 33 points or whatever. He goes off and gets his numbers. But for the role players, they're very reliant on each other, and it's just human nature, bro. When you have someone cheering for you, chanting for you, it makes you want to play better.
Ryan Holland's in studio with us on Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, also on SiriusXM Channel 80. So, Ryan, what will it take for you to completely, 100% buy into Giannis Antetokounmpo as a player that could be on a championship level? Is there something with the team that you'd like to see to kind of really convince you that the Bucks can be on a certain level?
You got to define that, because you left that really open-ended, bro. Define that. When you say him on a championship level or he leading the cause, what are we defining right now? What are we defining as we say this, brother?
You don't really believe in Giannis Antetokounmpo yet because you want to see more. So I'm asking you, based on what you've seen with the team, what would convince you to buy in to the Bucks as a ball club to be able to get to a championship level?
Well, for one, right now, they have a shot to win a championship if Golden State didn't exist, and so would the Rockets, and so would a number of other teams. So would Portland. Okay, so for one, that would open things up. For two, in terms of Giannis, he's an amazing system player. He plays great in the system, brother. And you know what I mean by that? Listen, Coach Budenholzer has created a system where there are shooters around him. And if guys aren't shooters, guess what? In the system, you're a shooter, Eric Bledsoe. You're a shooter, Malcolm Brogdon. You're a shooter. Brook Lopez, because your job is to catch and shoot the basketball as Giannis attacks the rim. It is the perfect recipe for success for him. When I talk about and I don't want to say that he's not a superstar. Everybody gets up in arms when I say stuff like that. They get all sensitive about it. But a guy like James Harden, a guy like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, okay, those guys, they do their thing in whatever system they're at, wherever they are at, and it doesn't need to be fit around him. The one thing, to answer your question, forgive me for my little tangent there, as Giannis develops a jump shot off the bounce, right now he's got a nice little three shot when people disrespect him and they play about 10 feet off. He'll randomly knock that down, make some, miss some, and I like that he takes them. But if he can get to the point where he can create even a mid-range jump shot as he attacks the rim, that's going to be a game changer for him, and he's going to open up his game to another level. And then I don't care what system he's in, the dude is going to be absolutely unguardable. And one thing I do like is that he's working towards it. He's not afraid to take those shots.
Can the Trailblazers win one game in their series?
If they have a shot to win a game in this series, bro, it's this game right here. Why do I say that? In this game, the next game for the Portland Trailblazers is going to frustrate Trailblazer fans everywhere. You want to know why? They're either going to win the game or the game's going to be incredibly close, because this is the team that's going to come out and play as if there's no tomorrow. And you're going to say, why wasn't that sense of urgency there in games 1, 2, or 3? Or when you were up
15 points, when you were up 17 points and had a chance, I don't want to say to close out, but just to hold fort. Where was that sense of urgency? So they're going to come with it in this next game. They're going to bring it. Obviously, there's still a strong chance that the Warriors win, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit, man, if Portland won this game. The one thing I remember about playing in the playoffs is that the hardest thing, and I remember Kevin Garnett told me before the game, because I'd never been in a situation to close the team out or not, like kind of on my own accord. And he said, look, man, the hardest thing that you will ever do is close the team out, because they're going to have this superhuman strength and effort in these games, because guys don't think about anything. It's not about the game plan. There are no nerves. I mean, come on, man. You've got nothing to lose.
You know, Ryan, the thing that resonated with me the most, I was telling JD earlier about the Warriors' victory against Portland yesterday. It wasn't about the Warriors winning. It wasn't about Steph Curry knocking down a whole bunch of threes. I just love the role players taking advantage of the kind of maximizing their minutes, the minutes that were given to them on the floor against Lillard and McCollum, how they were able to have a number of guys guarding Lillard. You didn't shut him down, but you certainly slowed him down. And I just thought that the defense really stood out. What stood out most about what the Warriors and some of the reserves did defensively against the Trailblazers guards?
Complete disrespect. Complete disrespect. They are not worried about Portland. They're playing regular season basketball, maybe a little more elevated against Portland. They have no respect for Portland. They're kind of like, you know what? Steve Kerr's like, you know what? We're going to run our regular season sets. We're not going to show any exotic looks. We're just going to play season basketball against these guys, and we're going to beat them because we're better. Even when they're down 15 points, there was never this just big, oh man, what are we going to do next? What's happening? Everybody just kept churning along. Even when Bell misses the dunk on a fast break, there was no overreaction. That was possibly a 4 or 5 point swing right there when it happened. Damian Lillard misses three. He gets a chance to capitalize on it, and he doesn't as they're trying to come back. But they don't respect Portland, bro. Like, they just know in their hearts they're going to walk them down, and it's disrespectful, man. It is. And if you're Portland, you should be upset that this team isn't even taking you serious.
Yeah. Thanks, as always, Ryan, for making time for us, man. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend, okay?
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Time to gallop off.
Woo, Nelly! Ryan Allen's on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line.
There he is on his high horse. There he goes. Ryan Allen's, everybody.
We are presented by Progressive Insurance. And you can tweet us at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at TweetJHood, at Dickerson ESPN, at ESPN Radio. Well, you look at this. Brooks Koepka is trying to open the door for someone, Jonathan, to challenge him at the PGA Championship. We got a PGA Championship update coming up next, and why the Cubs game that ended Saturday night might not actually be over. This is Dickerson and Hood. It's ESPN Radio.
This show and all of ESPN is streaming live on the ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus, where you get more ESPN. Download the ESPN app today and take ESPN everywhere.
98.7 ESPN. Over the air. And everywhere. From your car to your phone to your smart speaker.
Hey Alexa, play ESPN New York 98.7.
98.7 ESPN. Over the air and everywhere.
Alan Hahn here to tell you about a great team with the largest inventory in North America. Volvo Cars Glen Cove is the #1 dealer in the country. When you think of Volvo Cars, you think of luxury, safety, but what truly differentiates this team is exceptional customer service, extensive product knowledge, and attention to detail. Volvo Cars Glen Cove has the inventory and product knowledge you need, so don't waste your time shopping around. Visit their winning team at Volvo Cars Glen Cove and drive off with confidence in your new Volvo today. Care for your family. Connect with Glen Cove.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit, 800-620-8844. That's 800-620-8844. 800-620-8844.
Kona Brewing Company is celebrating 25 years of brewing liquid Aloha and delivering smooth, easy drinking and refreshing beers to fans across the country. Kona beer is a great reminder to connect with what matters most. Kona Brewing features Big Wave Golden Ale with its balanced and refreshing tropical flavor and Longboard Island Lager that has a crisp, easy drinking island flavor. Grab some Kona today. One life, right? Enjoy Kona at the Cabana in Long Beach, Swing Belly's Barbecue in Long Beach, and Craft Kitchen and Tap House in Lynbrook.
If you or someone you love is struggling with an addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there's hope. No matter what substance you or your loved one is coping with, you're just one phone call away from real help. We make the healing process simple and affordable by connecting you to a fully licensed and experienced facility. Your call will be routed to a representative able to discuss what's right for you or your loved one's personal situation. Don't wait another day. Most private insurances are accepted. Our mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober way of life. Your advisor will help you coordinate all the arrangements and answer any questions you have. One phone call is all it takes to get back to the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call Nisnik Behavioral Health at 646-762-4923. That's 646-762-4923. Again, 646-762-4923.
Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests and callers appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Tweet us at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at TweetJHood, at Dickerson ESPN, at ESPN Radio. Brooks Koepka, Jonathan, the wheels have not fallen off entirely, but he has now carded 3 straight bogeys. He is 10 under for the tournament, 2 over today. He's on the 14th. Dustin Johnson just birdied 15 to move to 8 under. So it's only a 2-shot differential right now between Koepka and Dustin Johnson. No one has ever, in a major, blew a lead of 7 or more shots with 54 holes left to play. Greg Norman, if you remember, lost a 6-shot lead at the Masters in 96. So that's some dubious history that Brooks Koepka, who up until, about 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, had been dominant at this event this week. But right now, some anxious moments for him.
So is Brooks Koepka great? No, I'm kidding.
Can we recycle that? That was going to be on scan. Might want to alter that a little bit.
Well, one of the questions we have for this or that is how would you look at a tournament? Would you like to have it all at the top where it's close at the end, or would you rather have a blowout, in which Koepka was doing that leading into Sunday at Bethpage? Well, I'm here to tell you that this is more exciting. And again, we don't know if Johnson can catch him. We just know that Brooks Koepka is going backwards right here. He's got to finish it out. And for him, just holding on to a victory, again, we're talking about history, if he's able to do this. He has been able to put up so many championship rounds over the last 2-3 years, which has been pretty impressive.
I mean, golf is such a mental sport.
Yes.
When you start to unravel, it's hard. It's hard to get things right. Now, Koepka obviously not a great touch there from off the green. Ooh. He's still putting from the fringe. So it's going sideways for him. We'll see if Dustin Johnson can make up even more distance. But other than that, I mean, there's no one else even in contention right now. I mean, Matt Wallace is 3 under. Spieth is 2 under. So it's a 2-person race right now with Koepka and Dustin Johnson, and momentum is not on Koepka's side, and we'll see I always hate putting from the fringe, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I kind of move the ball sometimes. To be honest now.
Kind of move the ball sometimes.
I'm not playing. I'm just playing with my buddies. We're not keeping score, really. There's no money on the line. But, occasionally I might give a little...
Big foot wedge guy, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I might give myself a little nudge with the foot.
Scan worthy.
Get myself on a nice flat putting surface.
Balls in the woods, just kind of kick it out into the rough.
I don't want to hit off that rock or that branch.
I hear what you're saying.
Miss the putt, just kind of kick it a little closer, maybe drop it in.
I mean, this is just having fun. I haven't played golf in a couple of years. I'm actually playing in Lake Tahoe in June.
And he shot a 71 last time, Jonathan.
But I have about 10 sleeves of balls with me on that trip.
Well, you can have mine. I'm not going out this year, it looks like, especially with the weather has been so bad in the Midwest. But I will tell you this, that what Koepka is doing is, if nothing else, people probably tuned away because they already saw this large lead that Koepka had. And now look at him. He's unraveling. That's one of the things about golf. You'll never hear me rip golfers because I know how hard it is. It can be frustrating, especially here down the stretch. If you are keeping score and you're trying to win something, and then it's all, it's not like you have a big gallery around you when you just, when it's you and I. It's just with your buddies and you're trying to close it out. It can really get on you a little bit, that's for sure. So Koepka at 10 under at this point in time.
What just fascinates me are the guys when the huge crowds around the tee box.
Yeah.
How can you tee off with that many people? If that's me or that's you, that ball's ricocheting off that pack of cool cigarettes right there on the ground and just bouncing up in the air and hitting someone's camera. I mean, it's remarkable. So Koepka right now is putting. And he is not going to make that putt from the fringe. So we'll give you a scoring update when it becomes official. But Brooks Koepka missed that putt. So he is going to continue to fall on the leaderboard right here. So again, it's a couple holes left for Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. We will keep you posted. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive's Home Quote Explorer gives you multiple quote options so you can pick what's right for you. See for yourself at Progressive.com. We've got Sunday Night Baseball coming up also on ESPN. Cubs and Nationals. A bit of a double tap toe controversy last night for the Cubs and the Nats. Jonathan?
Yes. In last night's game, Sean Doolittle was there to close out the game, and he is one of these pitchers that likes to use the double toe tap before he throws his pitch. Well, Carl Edwards Jr. also is a pitcher for the Cubs that utilized that, and the umpire said that's a no-no, you can't do that. And Madden, the manager for the Cubs, Joe Madden, came out to protest Doolittle's delivery, and the game was under protest last night, and looks like that Madden will no longer protest. This is from Jesse Rogers from ESPN.com. Madden's taking back his protest now that he's okay with it. But we've seen several pitchers do this unusual thing on the mound, this toe tap thing, and it's like anything else. If the game is going to have rules, let it be universal. Let's not let Doolittle do it and then Edwards can't or some other pitcher cannot. So I know it sounds silly, but what it comes down to is you want to have your rules be uniform. And we did not see that here in last night's game with the Nationals and the Cubs. So we'll see if there's any fallout here this evening.
And Brooks Koepka makes his putt for bogey.
Mm-hmm.
He's now 9 under. So Dustin Johnson is one shot back. But Dustin Johnson just put his approach over the green. So things are really tightening up. Brooks Koepka 9 under through 14. He's 3 over today. Dustin Johnson is 8 under through 15. But he's got a tough shot on the 16th hole. He overshot the green. He's in the rough. So it's going to come down to the wire here now. A tournament that had very little intrigue, Jonathan, outside of Brooks Koepka, scoring so well, is now down to a one-shot lead. And somewhere Greg Norman's probably smiling, drinking his wine.
Yes, happy that his name doesn't have to be synonymous with that anymore, right?
Unless this would be an all-timer. This would be the biggest lead ever squandered.
Well, and guys, think about Dustin Johnson. He has blown some big leads in big tournaments. Mm-hmm. What a redemption story would be for him to be on the other side of it, to come all the way back.
That's a good point.
Danzy, who has the most perfect swing, do you think, in golf that you watch?
Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Dustin Johnson's got to be right there in the team photo.
Well, Dustin Johnson just generates so much power off the tee.
Yeah.
I mean, he shortens every hole because of the way he hits off the tee.
Yeah.
But as Dan Z said, look, DJ's had some tough losses in majors as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's come up short, been a runner-up a lot of times. So which one of these two is gonna take this home? And it's not like Koepka doesn't have major experience. He's won 3 majors.
So who's going to win this thing? We only had 30 seconds left. Who's going to win? We're running out of time. Who's going to win?
Oh no, the television title is on the line. We're going off the air in 20 seconds.
We're turning into Jim Crockett Promotions. It's the NWA. I don't know who's going to win before we get off the air. But
Will it be Dusty Rhodes? Will it be Arn Anderson?
Right. Straight ahead. Most of you will get the Raptors-Bucks Game 3 from Toronto, and some of you will get Sunday Night Baseball, Cubs-Nationals. Hope you had have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the show. And the winner is Brooks Koepka. He's going to win it. We're going off the air. It's Dickerson and Hood. Talk to you next week. It's ESPN Radio.
Your radio, your computer, your phone. Or just tell your smart speaker to play ESPN Radio.
Now playing.
The best of our shows. Available when you are on Apple Podcasts, the ESPN app, and wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe now. This is Humpty and Canty. Weekdays at 10 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
Yeah, I didn't think we would start here, but now this morning hearing Buster Olney on Golic and Wingo, we'll hear that in just a moment on the heels of what was a horrendous loss for the Mets yesterday. This team, Rick, is, I guess hemorrhaging would probably be the right word. Washington was playing terrible baseball. They come without Scherzer, without Strasburg, and they beat you 2 out of 3, and Zach Wheeler is awful, and Sanchez gets pulled in the second inning because he's hurt. I mean, the Mets right now are, I think you could say they're a bad baseball team.
No, I don't think they're a bad baseball team. I mean, missed opportunity is probably an understatement, especially because you won game 1, and you're right. I mean, the way the Washington Nationals have played, more importantly, the way that Anibal Sanchez has pitched, and I mean, as big of an advantage as we thought they would have with Zach Wheeler on the mound going up against Sanchez, not only do you have Sanchez, but then only pitches an inning in the third, and you get into the worst bullpen
and you can't get to
in Major League Baseball. The worst bullpen in Major League Baseball. And then Conforto gets knocked unconscious. McNeil's dealing with...
You can't make it up. I mean, he gets knocked. This is what actually happened. He got knocked unconscious.
And it looked like Cano hit him with the shoulder a little bit, too. Like he put a little something extra on it, and then he's going to say after the game, well, hopefully it's something where he can be back tomorrow. No, he's not back tomorrow. He's on a train back to New York tomorrow. That's exactly where we're at with Michael Conforto. Yep. And you can't afford to lose him. Like, I know the offense scored 6 runs yesterday, but, I mean, this offense has been up and down for the better part of the last month. Like, you need Conforto in the lineup. You're thin in the outfield. And you saw just how thin you were in the 9th inning when you got bases loaded and Keon Broxton is up at the plate. Yeah, I know Mets fans don't feel really great about that. He's won for his last 25. That's how bad it was. But, I mean, listen, Zach Wheeler didn't give your team a chance. But even that being said, it was impressive to watch the Mets lineup battle back. You had some good at-bats in the 3rd inning by McNeil and Cano. Cano had that double. Zach Wheeler had a base hit, and, of course, Conforto hits the home run. Boom, you're right back in the game. It's 4-4. But, I mean, it's a situation where Parra had a day.
Oh, God.
I mean, he was just, he was one of those guys that was killing the Mets. And it was a missed opportunity when I looked at this series coming in because, like Rick said, you liked your matchup with Zach Wheeler on the mound against Anibal Sanchez, and you weren't able to take advantage of it.
Well, and then you decided, but then on top of it, you decided to arrest, Pete Alonso, who's your best offensive player.
Right.
And then you put Dom Smith in the two-hole, and he was horrendous. And then Broxton, listen, here's the bottom line for me. And his defense hasn't been otherworldly. If you can't handle 93 from a lefty, just below the letters, guess what? You should be in serious.
Isn't this the second time that he has left the bases loaded in a 1-run game? Didn't he do this against the Phillies about 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think at this point, Carlos Gomez is probably a better option.
What are we doing?
Anybody is a better option than Keon Broxton.
I'm not even exaggerating. This is a serious question. If I would have told you can bat either Syndergaard or DeGrom in that spot, would you have been like, oh, God, no?
No, I'm going to prefer the righty.
Okay.
I mean, that's matchup-wise. But here, I mean, again, and we got Buster Olney saying, the reason why the Mets would fire Mickey Callaway because that's what the Mets do.
I will hear from him in a second.
That feels good. That feels good, especially on the heels of talking about the Jets' dysfunction.
But does this surprise you? Let's hear from Buster Olney this morning. Golic and Wingo, how much trouble is the Mets manager Mickey Callaway in?
Right now, how much trouble would you say Mets manager Mickey Callaway is in?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at a 10 because word is emanated out of the organization. Yeah, the word is emanated out of that organization. Let me tell you something. Time I've covered baseball, word tends to emanate out of the Mets organization, unlike any other, with a bad stretch of games, he's probably in trouble, which would be in keeping with a long-standing Mets tradition of using manager firing and coaching firings and general manager firings in season to, like the human shields, right? The human body bags. We're going badly. we got to let somebody go. And it would be ridiculous if they fired Mickey Callaway. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, Mickey to this point has proven himself to be the next Tony La Russa as a manager. But when you look at what they did during the offseason, at a time when the industry is getting younger and younger, the Mets got older. They invested in Robinson Cano, who has not played well. They invested in catcher Wilson Ramos, and he hasn't played well. And they spent money on Jed Lowry, a free agent in his mid-30s. He hasn't been on the field yet. You can go down the list of all the things that have gone wrong for the Mets, and it doesn't feel like you can tie any of them to Mickey Callaway. And yet, word is emanating that Mickey's in trouble. And if they have a bad stretch of games, he's probably going to get fired because that's what the Mets do.
That's what the Mets do. And how about that as a finish to that? I mean, we're talking about the dysfunction of the Giants. Then we've gotten into the Knicks, who look like they might be functional. Then the Jets, and we pass the baton over to the Mets. Yeah, but again, this goes back to, the older, because I only want to sign guys that I used to represent or my firm used to represent, and this thing goes sideways, I got to give a pound of flesh, and it's not going to be my flesh.
Yeah, it's straight out of the Chris Carter playbook. You got to make sure that you have a fall guy, and that's exactly what Brody Van Wagenen did by deciding to retain Mickey Callaway. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to make sure that I have the interim manager in place when I hire Jim Riggleman. And I can always use the excuse of I wanted to hire an experienced manager as the bench coach for Mickey Callaway just because he's getting on-the-job training. That's exactly how they set this whole thing up. I just look at what happened with this series, though, as a missed opportunity. Now the Mets fall to 0-5 in 3-game sets where they go into the rubber match with a 1-1 split. And it's a situation now where you knew that this stretch of games was your get-right stretch because you were playing with teams that haven't, to this point in the season, been able to get right. You're playing against the Marlins, and you're playing against the Nationals.
Against the Nationals, who aren't playing well.
And they don't have
two pitchers that you look at as stud pitchers who aren't pitching in the series.
They haven't won a series when those two guys haven't pitched. One of those two guys hasn't pitched.
Well, now they have.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though. I just, again, we know that how competitive this NL East is going to be, and those are the types of games yesterday that you can't afford to lose if you fancy yourself a playoff team. Like, those things can't happen.
It's just one thing after the next. I mean, seriously, you know how much I love the Mets, but watching that team play and feeling as good as I felt going into that game, because of all the things that we just talked about, and then Wheeler to come out in the first inning.
Wheeler did not give you a chance, man. Like, listen, if you want to talk about the little dribbler that Eaton hit for an infield single, okay, I get it. Robles, I thought that was just a good piece of hitting right there in the gap between third and short. But, I mean, the pitch that he threw 0-2 to Rendon, fastball, middle, 97 miles an hour. What do you think Rendon is going to do with it? What do you think is going to happen in that situation? To me, that's the part of it that's inexcusable. And you can give all the reasons and say, yeah, I didn't have good fastball command. I mean, it felt like he didn't have good command of any of his pitches yesterday.
He was awful yesterday.
He was terrible. And he gave up a career-high 11 hits, 4 extra base hits.
If I would have told you that Anibal Sanchez would not be able to get out of the second inning because he was injured, and he brought his 0-6 record in, and you had Wheeler on the mound, you would have said, Mets win that 9 out of 10 times?
No, I would have said, Rayfed, play the music. That's my count on it. I mean, with no hesitation. In a whole different segment, that would also be my baseball pick.
We're glad it wasn't.
If you would have told me that.
And we did hit on the Indians.
And Bauer was
two touchdowns yesterday.
Trevor Bauer was terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Look at the bright side. At least Conforto made one of our listeners some money with the Bash for Cash.
He did.
There you go.
Here's the other thing with that play, right? And I had a game last night, and we had a similar play. I was playing first base, and our right fielder came in. First thing I did was obviously I'm tracking the baseball. And as you're tracking the baseball, you take a quick peek, because that's not my ball. Priority is the outfielder.
Yes.
So the second, now all of a sudden, I committed to, I don't know who's going to get to it, he has to call for the baseball. Conforto, and trust me, anyone that's played baseball or even football and try to catch football, when you're running full speed and your eyeballs are bouncing in your head, it's tough enough to focus on the baseball and to even consider looking at Robinson Cano. And Cano's giving it I got it with his arms. Do you think Conforto at any point looked at Cano? Because that's his ball, right? So he yells, I have it. If you're Cano, I get it. It's a miscommunication. It happens. But at least be all in. Don't half-ass it. Like, not only does he not call for verbally, then he half-asses it and destroys Conforto, who I think would have made the play.
Destroys him, because you could clearly see Cano was bracing for impact and Conforto wasn't. But if you're in that situation, if you're Cano, you know that he doesn't see you and you see him, so why not stop? What's the worst thing that's going to happen in that situation if you stop? Nobody catches it? Okay. We'll play on. Now you're going to have to move on without your right fielder who has the opportunity, who is, when he's at his best, he's an all-star caliber outfielder.
And he'll be on the IL.
And now you're going to be missing him for some time.
They put him on the IL.
Concussion protocol.
Concussion protocol. 7 days. Yeah. He was diagnosed with concussion.
Right.
I mean, you could see his jaw dislocate.
I think he might have been out.
No, he was asleep, cuz.
He was asleep. He went dead body. And then he popped out of it. And even the notion, Todd's like, he'll be... No,
he's not going to be fine.
I don't know how many times you need to watch the replay to realize he was out on his feet. I mean, Cano had to hold him up. And then Cano had a good game yesterday.
He did.
But I was listening to the K show. I think you got the clip there. I mean, Mark Teixeira, has seen enough baseball, has played enough baseball, and what he said about Cano concerns me quite a bit.
Well, let's take a listen. Here's Teixeira on the K show. What's wrong with the Mets second baseman?
I think it's just a slower bat. And listen, every older player has to deal with this. You understand how hard it is to be great like Robinson Cano. One of the reasons he was great is because he had some of the best hands, some of the quickest hands, the fastest bat in baseball. He's gotten hit twice on check swings this year where he's totally opened up. He's sold out. He's completely guessing on a pitch, guessing fastball, and that pitch rides up and in and hits him on the hand. That never happened before because he could wait back.
So he's cheating.
And absolutely. Right. Every older player, my last few years, I was basically a guess hitter because my bat speed went down as well. At 35, 36, you have to try to figure things out and try to outsmart the pitcher. But, Robbie, unfortunately at this point in his career is not one of the top hitters in baseball. He's having to cheat a little bit more, having to guess a little bit more. And when that bat speed goes, it's not easy to hit.
Well, the good news is it's the first of a multi-year contract that you have Robinson Cano here for.
Well, what's funny is you don't have to cheat when you're cheating.
If you're cheating.
Like the PEDs allow you not to have to cheat.
Right.
And now all of a sudden age catches up. And this was supposed to be the good year for Robinson Cano.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he very average defensively, but
with
now
no range.
He's very average offensively.
To Tex, he's not one of your best hitters.
No, he's not even average offensively. Like he had an RBI yesterday, right?
Yeah, went 3 for 5 yesterday.
Yeah, no, he had a good day yesterday. But he has 13 RBIs on the season. That's not average in the 3 spot.
Not at all.
That's not close to average in the 3 spot.
That's not close to average. But I mean, listen, this is one of those situations where you made the deal because you thought he would bring some thump to your lineup, and you needed that based on your lineup's performance last year. It's just that he hadn't hit this year. But thank goodness that you have a lot of guys that have answered the question marks in an affirmative coming into this season, guys that you didn't know whether or not they could be contributors offensively. But you got Pete Alonso. You had Jeff McNeil. Now he's got the abdominal injury. We'll see how long he's out with that. You have a healthy Conforto. Well, he's got a concussion. We'll see how long he's out with that. But all of those guys had positive answers in terms of what they could bring to your lineup offensively. Now you're in a situation where you're going to be without a lot of those guys. And then, oh, by the way, Cano is still not the Cano that we've known in the past.
Yeah, but this all comes back to your GM opening his stupid mouth and saying, we're the deepest team in the NL East.
Right. If you're the deepest team, why is Keon Broxton batting in a huge spot like that? Yes, well, I guess that's because of Conforto going out. But still,
exactly.
You would figure you'd have a better sub than Broxton to come in the big spot.
But forget all that. Like, I mean, every conversation you have surrounding the Mets now is through the lens of this should be the team that competes for the NL East. When in actuality, that's probably an unfair expectation for this team. I mean, outside of the starting pitching and having a chance now to see Robinson Cano in the moves that they've made, Jed Lowry still hasn't played yet.
And God knows what the issue is with McNeil now, how long he's going to be out for.
I mean, you heard Buster Olney. I mean, Buster Olney is tied in to everyone in Major League Baseball. The entire industry is going young, and what do we decide to do? We go old.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense.
Think of what they
well, it does make sense, though, Rick, because the Mets ownership wants to be relevant. They don't want to strip it all the way down. And the reality was the general manager that you entertained hiring this offseason, Chaim Bloom, down in Tampa, would have suggested that you strip this thing all the way down. You didn't want to go that direction, so you hired a former agent to be your general manager.
Tells you what you want to hear.
Exactly.
We can go all in, and we can win. But the all in is Wilson Ramos.
This is the Adam Gase bait and switch.
Yeah.
Let me
Wilson
get into
Ramos, the 30-plus-year-old Jed Lowry,
who we haven't seen yet.
Right, we haven't seen him. He's not even capable, and he's nowhere near his return. Robinson Cano. I mean, you look at what they added this offseason. Is there a signing that you look at and you say, boy, that was a really good move right now? That was a really good move.
You can't even feel good about the Diaz signing because you know it came along with years of a bad contract with Cano.
Yeah, I could have had Andrew Miller and not just for or Ottavino just for money with no Cano, put McNeil at second base and sign someone that we actually needed.
No, we had to give that money to Jerus Familia. We had to
You actually could have had Ottavino and Britton if you wanted.
Could have. And I know Britton says he wants to stay with the Yankees.
No.
You think if he's a closer that he wouldn't have taken that?
He wanted to close.
Britton's top priority was to close.
Right.
And then because it was the Yankees and the fact that they did him solid with what he was dealing with was Achilles last year, he decided, you know what, I'll suck it up. I'll be a Yankee, plus we can win a championship. If the Mets said, hey, we're going to give you this much money.
Yeah, you're the closer, and you're going to get the same money you would get with the Yankees, and you stay in New York, he would have taken that.
Now, see, these teams don't understand this, and it drives me crazy because it seems like the teams that I root for, they just rather than learn from the mistakes, they just continue to repeat the mistakes, which amazes me.
But you say it to me all the time. Where does it come from?
Top down.
I get it, but I mean, it's like the second you hire Brody Van Wagenen. So again, we're going outside of the box, which for me is more like inside the box for the Mets because they just make crazy decisions. The second he starts opening his mouth, you're eliminating sports talk radio, newspapers, fan base. No one's going to make any excuses for you. You just told us the expectations for this team is you should win the NL East.
Right.
So once you tell us that, we're not going to make any excuses for you. You set the expectation.
And you went all in. I mean, all you did was get older and in a win-now mentality. And this is what you've given us, a 20-22 record.
Yeah, but you set yourself up for disappointment as opposed to a pleasant surprise.
Well, it's like what the Giants did when they didn't take Sam Darnold. They took Saquon Barkley. They made it a must-win right now.
I'm telling you, under-promise, over-deliver. That's the problem the Giants are going to face with Daniel Jones. Because you drafted him 6th overall.
There's going to be an expectation.
But there's no under-promise. 6th overall, that it has to be great.
He's got to be great.
He's got to be great.
Let's go to Alvin in Jersey. Alvin, you're on 98.7. Talk about this Mets mess. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Guys, all I'm hearing for you guys is straight up, guys, they're 3.5 games behind. They're playing the Marlins. The Phillies is doing, the whole division is doing horrible. Why you guys are so beating on the Mets for? Relax, guys. It's going to happen. This is not a Super Bowl. This is not a super team. Listen, relax.
Alvin, right now, the Mets are like your cell phone reception. I mean, very inconsistent. It's going to turn into a roller coaster.
They're 2 games under.
So, hold on, wait a minute. Your third starter goes out there and he gets railed.
Against an 0-6 starter who can't make it through the second inning.
Exactly. And then your fourth starter, we don't know when he's going to be back, although it sounds like based on throwing, a couple of bullpen sessions, that'll be sooner rather than later. And then, of course, Jason Vargas, your fifth starter, is in a situation where he's out of rehab start. We don't know when he's going to be back.
Right. And we hear from Buster Olney that they're on the verge of firing the manager, and you don't like any of the signings they made, and we need to relax.
But that's what I'm saying. Your team is built on starting pitching, and you got question marks with your 3, 4, and 5 pitchers in your rotation. What are you talking about? Just relax?
There's no relax.
And then on top of that, the best offensive hitter that you've had, Jeff McNeil, the most consistent, I'll say that much, he's out of lineup. We don't know when he's going to be back. He's got the abdominal injury. And then, of course, Conforto, a guy that you thought was capable of carrying the offense coming into the season, he's got a concussion. Now, I mean, you still do have Pete Alonso, but offensively, yeah, there are some question marks with your lineup now. And this is an lineup that hasn't been consistent in producing runs the last 3 weeks.
There's question marks all over. There's question marks with the lineup. There's question marks with the bullpen. And there's more question marks with the starting pitching than there should be on this team.
Exactly. This is not like a situation with the Yankees. We've got everybody on IL, but the team is still winning. You're losing games and you're losing guys to injury right now that are key contributors to your team and the success you've had up until this point. So, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of cause for concern because this is not a deep team. You have to be a little bit worried right now if you're a Mets fan, because you don't know how it's going to get better.
Well, you don't know how it's going to get better, and more importantly, I mean, when you look at the teams in your own division, the Philadelphia Phillies right now 24-19. Bryce Harper offensively probably couldn't be any worse, but they managed to be plus 26. I don't care what anyone says. Run differential is an important number. When you start trying to look at what teams are going to, at the end of this thing, be playoff teams, run differential is an important number. And right now, the New York Mets are minus 16. Mm. It'll win you the PGA Championship. It's not going to win you the division. Especially when you look at a National League right now. If you don't win your division with how poorly the Nationals have played, I mean, the Phillies have been all right, but no one's running away with this division. You got to win the division or you're not going to make the playoffs.
100%.
And you certainly got to stack wins against teams in your division that are struggling, and that would be the Nationals and the Marlins.
The Cubs are good, the Brewers are good, the Cardinals are good, the Dodgers are good, the Diamondbacks.
They're not going to get a wild card. You're going to have to win 87 games to 90 games to get a wild card.
I mean, the St. Louis Cardinals right now are in third place in the Central. They're plus 19.
Are the Mets better than the Brewers?
No.
Are they better than the Cubs?
No.
Are they better than the Cardinals?
No. Well, at this point, I mean, the Cardinals are struggling right now, but no. I would say no.
I mean, they're not better than the Phillies.
If all things go perfectly. See, that's the problem with the construction of this team. If all things go perfect, they're a good team. But,
yeah, I mean, if they go perfect. How often does that happen? An ERA of 5, Rick. A 5 ERA.
How often does that happen? It doesn't.
Has it happened so far?
It doesn't.
Do you think that's going to turn around and all of a sudden everything is going to align in the last 3 quarters of the season?
No, I think who this team is an inconsistent team. And I think when everything's going on all cylinders, they're a good team. They'll be a good team.
Yes.
When the starting pitching is right and offensively you're in a groove, they'll win a bunch of baseball games. But how long does that last?
Not very often in a 162-game regular season.
See, that's what concerns me.
You're always going to have to deal with injuries.
You better clean up on the Marlins this weekend.
You have to.
You better.
You're giving yourself no choice now.
You need a sweep now.
You know they go to L.A. for 4 this month.
Yeah.
How do you see that ending?
With probably, quite a few Bellinger home runs.
Yeah.
Jock Peterson, a couple sprinkled in.
Right. All right, we do have some good news. Jesse in Weehawken, he won the Bass for Cash yesterday. Congratulations, Jesse.
Hey, thanks a lot. Sorry I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys yesterday. I couldn't believe it was setting up to be perfect, but he goes out and he gets hurt, and I'm like, no, because I knew they were going to have to come from behind.
It was a good pick. Conforto was the right
hit home run for you, though.
I heard Rick say take him in the first, and I was like, if I was talking to you guys, I probably would have said no to that, but you guys probably could have got me somewhere in between, and maybe I would have picked it third, but you never know.
Well, you're still a winner. Congratulations,
Conforto with a lucky
Jess.
3. I mean, that would have been the winner.
Yeah. Would have been nice.
Did you realize that I had no idea about this? So I've had the one hernia surgery. I still have to have the other one done, but because the first one was so terrible, the rehab, I have no interest in doing it until it just completely tears in half.
That doesn't sound like it's a good surgery.
McNeil said 4 of them.
4?
Are you serious?
Yeah, he said 4 of them. They asked me what's going on. He said, well, usually it's just some scar tissue. It's happened to me before. It happens when you've had 4. And the guy's like, excuse
me. And how old is he?
I think 25? No, I think he's older than that. I think he's 26 or 27. I want to say 26.
But it said 4?
4 hernia surgeries.
Ugh.
4.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
When I tell you rehab from a hernia surgery is a nightmare, it's a quick surgery. The rehab is the worst.
Well, hopefully it's not severe for him.
No, he just said it's scar tissue.
Not
he just said it's
Jeff McNeil is 27 years old.
27, that's what I thought.
Yeah, 27.
No, he'll be fine. Conforto is a bigger concern because he took a shot. It was a big shot.
And you never know with those concussions, man. You just don't.
You saw Clint Frazier.
Exactly.
Each guy's different.
I mean, for
whole season was a wash.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You just never know. And that's a guy that you were depending on offensively. Like coming into this season, we said that the Mets were going to make the playoffs.
Your cleanup hitter.
Conforto was going to have to hit 30 bombs. We said that.
And he's had a good start to the season, too.
And he's had a good start to the season. But now, one of the guys that you were saying would probably be one of your most consistent offensively, he's going to be out of line.
There's no mental adjustment. It's just, you just play. You go out there with what you have. And this is our 3rd game, 3.5 games really, without him. And so we're just trying to hold down the fort. Hopefully he continues to progress, and he has made progress, but it's a little more serious than we thought at the very beginning, and so we'll see where it all goes. But he's in there all day long getting treatment, He's done a great job of committing himself to that process. Rick and his staff are in there all day. Hopefully he'll be back at some point, but we'll just wait and see.
Not exactly a glowing thought of
but if you're a Knicks fan, I mean, this is exactly what you want if you're a Knicks fan.
If they win without him?
Yeah, just keep winning without KD.
Well, they're really, if you consider the game he went out, they're 4-0 without him now.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Steph Curry's the best player on the team. It's his team.
Well, they win without him.
But it is Steph Curry's team, though, right? It is his team. Like, no question about it. No matter what Kevin Durant does, even if he comes back and he's somehow, NBA Finals MVP for a third straight year, it's still going to be Steph Curry's team. And I think that's going to be the motivating factor if Kevin Durant decides to leave Golden State to come to the Knicks, because let's face it, the Knicks are not a better organization, and the Knicks are not in a better position to compete for championships. So the only thing that could attract Kevin Durant to the Knicks would be to change the conversation around his legacy and potential off-the-court interest. So, I mean, but that being said, I think they do need Kevin Durant to come back in order to try to win a title.
You don't think they win a title if he doesn't return?
I think it's hard with that Milwaukee Bucks team, man, just because that Bucks team is so deep. And the one thing that does concern me is, how many guys on that Golden State Warriors bench are going to give you quality minutes, especially when you get to an NBA Finals series against the Bucks, who have 7 guys that play 25-plus minutes, and they got 9 deep in their rotation. That's the one thing that bothers me, especially when they got Malcolm Brogdon back. Malcolm Brogdon outscored the Raptors bench all by himself in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, if Golden State is going to win a title, I mean, even Klay Thompson said it. Klay Thompson said, after the news broke about Kevin Durant not playing in Games 3 and 4 of the Western Conference Finals, he said, yeah, if we want to win a championship, we need Kevin Durant to come back.
Well, I mean, look at Milwaukee. I mean, the one thing that I don't care what your system is, and I think this is one of the things that Bill Parcells would always say, you can't teach size.
Yeah.
Like, he wants big people.
Yeah.
That's what Milwaukee has.
They do.
Like, I don't care what your system is. They have the physicality and the length to give Steph Curry and that team trouble.
Yeah, it looks like they're filming Avatar, too. That's exactly what they got. A bunch of guys that are walking around there 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", and can defend 1 through 5.
You know the beauty of, though, Golden State? And it seems like when they're right, I mean, especially offensively, it's like it's perpetual motion. Like, Steph Curry doesn't stop. But the effect that has on the opposing team's offense. Like,
it's deflating.
Like, the strategy of your offense actually benefits you defensively.
Yep.
Because you just wear these guys out.
So what do you think? He thinks that Milwaukee wins if Durant does not come back.
I'm not going to.
For me, it would depend on what this series looks like. Like, if this series goes 6 or 7 games.
This Portland series?
If this Portland series goes 6 or
7 games, they got no shot.
And then Milwaukee gets through Toronto. They got no shot. Because you got to imagine, I mean, Milwaukee's going to be much better in Game 2 than they were in Game 1.
Yeah, I think that they'll win that game. They're going to win that series.
I don't know about that.
You don't think that Milwaukee wins that series?
No, I'm not saying I don't know that Milwaukee wins the series. I think Milwaukee does win the series. I don't know that it'll be a lot easier than what we saw in Game 1. That's what I'm saying. Just because I don't know that this thing that we saw with Giannis in Game 1, him not being as dominant as we're typically accustomed to seeing him play, I don't know that it's not a result of Pascal Siakam just playing really, really good defense on him, because Pascal Siakam is 6'9".
It's good.
I mean, he's good. He's one of those guys that's like, yeah, that's a matchup that you would like in terms of defensive. That's as good of a matchup defensively that you would like going up against one of the best players in the world in Giannis.
All right, let's go to some calls. Mike in Jersey. Mike, you're on 98.7.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Good.
I've got a great show, man. I love hearing you guys.
We appreciate it. What's on your mind today, Mike?
Listen, man, this Golden State series, I'll tell you, the public made it a lot closer than we knew it was going to be. You knew Golden State was going to dominate. Didn't need Kevin Durant. You know, they were winning championships without Kevin Durant against a LeBron and his prime-type team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. You know, they don't need the full firepower against Portland. They're going to win this game in 4 games. Okay, they're going to send them home and they're going to go rest for the finals and play the Bucks. You know, but the public really made it a lot closer than it was. This was a blowout series.
A blowout series. The game came down to crunch time yesterday.
Yeah, but Mike, I mean, I think the reason why people wanted to create the narrative, and I admit I was wrong, just because I kind of started to buy into it a little bit, because you hadn't seen Steph Curry play the way that Steph Curry is playing now without Kevin Durant.
He hasn't had to.
But I mean, even over the last couple of years, and I know it's a luxury to have Kevin Durant, like, you still haven't seen this MVP caliber Steph Curry. And I don't know if it's the team just they're complacent, or during the regular season they're complacent, or they just know, whenever they decide to turn it on, they'll turn it on.
And they can.
But they can. And that's
one of the few teams I've ever seen in sports that they can turn it on when they have to.
You can't account for that. Like, you can't account. Like, that's not something that you can see. That's just something that they have and that they're capable of doing. Because not many players can do it, and I know there's not many teams that can do it. And as far as Kevin Durant coming to that team is, the reason why you want Kevin Durant, do they need him? Who knows? Probably not. But why not give yourself as many answers as possible?
Well, you're not going to turn him down.
No, you're not going to turn him down.
Go.
But, I mean, I would imagine that Draymond Green, after losing that series, probably took a lot of blame on himself because he got suspended. And they blow a 3-1 lead.
Right.
And rightfully so.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
But, again, if you're trying to win, I mean, if you want to have this dynastic run where you start winning, 3 championships in a row, at some point, teams are going to scout you just insensitive. I mean, what Houston's doing. Like, all their focus is going to be, we got to shut down Golden State.
Yeah, every offseason they're making moves personnel-wise to bring in people that will help you beat Golden State in the postseason.
So why not give yourself as many options, as many answers to whatever they throw at you as possible?
Sure.
And that's what he is. That's what he is. If things get bogged down, if all of a sudden they have, if they're playing defense a certain way that's shutting down Clay and Steph, guess who they can't shut down?
You can never shut them down.
See, that's the thing, man. If Golden State gets to the finals, and I'm assuming that they will, they'll beat the Trailblazers, and the Bucks beat the Raptors. To me, that series is a flip of the coin, and the Milwaukee Bucks will have home court advantage.
Right. I would agree with that. So if Durant is not back.
If Durant is not back,
I agree.
and that's the thing. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they can't do it. I'm just saying that I don't know that they will do it. I guess that's the biggest difference. With Kevin Durant there, I think the Warriors win another NBA title.
We'll get into baseball a little bit later, or maybe right now as we discuss the most dysfunctional of these New York sports teams. Where would you go? I mean, the Mets are showing great dysfunction. The Jets tried to win the title unanimously this week in what they did. The Giants feel kind of like they're dysfunctional. The Knicks have been there for the last, 20 years, give or take. Right now, the most dysfunctional team in New York sports. Where would you vote, Chris Canty?
Well, I got to go with the Jets. I have to go with the Jets because at least the Knicks hierarchy seems like they're all on the same page and they're all moving forward with the plan in lockstep. With the Giants, we don't agree with some of the decisions that they made, but it feels like Dave Gettleman is the one.
There's a plan.
Yeah, it feels like Dave Gettleman is the one that's making the decisions, and that's his responsibility as the general manager. With the Jets, I don't know who the hell is making the decisions over there. I have no idea. I mean, even when you want to look at the Mets and them talking about firing Mickey Callaway, we agree that the manager is nothing more than middle management in today's game because so much of it is driven by analytics. But at least it feels like this is Brody Van Wagenen's team based on what we've seen all offseason. With what's going on with Adam Gase and them firing Mike McCagnon and the timing of it all, and then Chris Johnson not necessarily knowing or not being qualified to understand what's in the best interest of the club, it feels like the Jets are clearly the most dysfunctional franchise in New York right now.
Yeah, but here's where I would disagree. Because when all is said and done, if Sam Darnold turns into what we think he's capable of turning into, then I think the Jets are in a better spot than the Giants are right now. Because we don't know who the franchise quarterback moving forward from Eli Manning is going to be.
Well, I think those are two different conversations, though. I mean, it's not necessarily, okay, which team is going to win more games. It's which organization is actually functional.
Well, I think having a great quarterback makes you functional.
It makes you be allowed to be less functional in other ways if you have a great quarterback.
Well, let's face it, the Indianapolis Colts were very dysfunctional, but Andrew Luck was the Band-Aid.
Yeah, and I'll see your Colts, and I'll raise you the Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford, who's a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, and what have they won?
Nothing.
Exactly. So, I mean, you could have a great quarterback, and that does go a long ways into putting your team in a position where you can be consistently competitive. But when you have so much dysfunction around you, you can't maximize on your quarterback's potential. And that's the one thing that I've worried about from Sam Darnold from the start, ever since they drafted him a couple of years ago. Like, you want to be able to take advantage of having a young quarterback, especially at this point in his career when he's on a rookie wage scale, when you can supplement your roster and pay top-of-the-market prices for talent to put around him to get the most out of his ability. Like, that's the one thing that just doesn't make sense. All of the things that Mike McCagnon did this offseason, they all had a purpose, and that purpose seemed to be in order to support your young quarterback, even hiring Adam Gase. And then all of a sudden, months on the job, the owner decides, I'm going to relieve the general manager of his duties, and I'm going to empower the guy that was just fired by the Miami Dolphins after he told the owner that the owner, Stephen Ross, didn't know football down there, after he alienated all of his players, after after all of that dysfunction with that team. So I don't know that Chris Johnson did the right thing by his organization. Now, ultimately, I think it could end up working out because you have a clear chain of command. But again, when we start talking about the route that the Jets took in order to get to this point where they're structuring their organization in a more traditional sense, I just don't feel good about it.
All right, 800-919-3776 as we talk about dysfunction of all our New York teams. Guys, do not sell the Mets short by any stretch. I think you do yourself a disservice if you sell the Mets short as far as the dysfunction within that organization. Look at what they are. What do the Mets have to be optimistic about right now? Really? You look at the Mets and you look 5 years down the road.
Still holding on to 2015, Dave. You had a run. You had a run, Dave.
But I don't care about 2015 at this point. I'm looking the present. I don't think it's overly bright. I'm looking the future. I don't think it's overly bright.
Well, you know what it's going to take in order to get this team back to being consistently competitive, Dave. You're going to have to strip it down and build it back up. It's been so many quick fixes the last couple of years. You've been putting a patch on things, thinking that you can make a run, thinking that you could be a wild card team based on the starting rotation, and you just haven't been able to take advantage of those guys because the offense has been inconsistent or it's been the bullpen. It's been one or the other. And so now you're in this position where you're half pregnant. You know, you saw the moves that Brody Van Wagenen made, and if those moves worked out and you got the best out of everybody that was going to be a part of this club this year, then yeah, there was a chance that you could win the division and you could be, you know, one of those teams that's competing in October. But now, based on how things are going and all the injuries that are starting to set in and, you know, the inconsistency that we've seen in the bullpen, the inconsistency with the lineup and the offense, the inconsistency we've seen with your 3, 4, and 5 pitchers in your rotation, yeah, I think that there's legitimate concern about what this Mets team is capable of accomplishing this year. And if you're not competing over the next couple of years to get into the postseason, what the hell were all the moves that Brody Van Wagenen made this offseason all about anyway?
Well, you think it's going to get brighter? Like next year when you don't have Zach Wheeler?
But see, here's the thing, Dave. I'm agreeing with you in terms of being able to question the moves and maybe not agree with them. But I don't agree with the fact that they're dysfunctional when you look at the person that's making the moves. It's the general manager, and that's his responsibility. That's his job. Should he do the moves? Probably not. But, I mean, of course, the general manager is going to be at the mercy of the owner, and that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but it almost makes you feel like with the moves that they made, I mean, the first being hired Brody Van Wagenen, is it all about winning or is it all about changing the conversation surrounding your team? Like selling hope to the fan base.
But how long does that last?
Well, it doesn't last. I mean, you don't have to ask me that question. It doesn't last.
Right. I mean, it sounds great in March, but now that you're sitting here late May and the team is scuffling, you're 2 games under, you're playing bad baseball, all these over 30 guys you brought in here doing nothing.
Here's how I look at it. And you know how much I love the Mets. I almost put them in their own separate category. Because they're a New York big market team that acts like a small market team, and they have self-imposed financial restrictions. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, you're just smashing your head against a wall to think that, you know, at a certain point, it's going to get that much better.
Now, if you want to call them dysfunctional because they should have hired the guy that came from a small market club that doesn't like to spend money and they were able to win 90 games last year, that being Chaim Bloom from the Tampa Bay Rays, if you want to say they're dysfunctional because the Wilpons didn't go out and hire that guy and opted to hire an agent, I would agree with that. But in terms of empowering the general manager to make the decisions that he deems in the best interest of the club, they did that. They let Brody go out and make all of those moves. They did that. Now, you know the parameters that the Mets are going to operate with, but he was the one that made all those decisions. And so that's why I have a hard time saying they're dysfunctional from that standpoint. But the one thing I will say, and this probably is a check mark in the against column, is the fact that it's setting Mickey Callaway up to be the fall guy because this is the team that Brody Van Wagenen gave him to work with this year, and we knew the flaws coming into this season. And now that this is a team that's a couple of games below 500, we're all starting to question whether or not those were the right moves. And now the general manager